Welcome back to Office Hours, where we explore the world of video production and how it's shaping corporate and industrial events. Today, we're talking with Dianna, Director of Startup Success, formerly Director of Startup Success and Operations for Halliburton Labs, whose primary responsibility was running the accelerator program that supported clean tech startups with their scaling challenges, and, for Ben and I's purposes, an event planner who found herself in charge of a high-stakes pitch day with zero prior experience in video production. Her first few attempts working with a big corporate service video production provider fell short of her expectations. But instead of giving up, she came out and she worked with us.
Persevered.
I
just persevered. Sorry to interject. Please continue.
No, this is, I'm reading your intro, Ben. You should have probably read this. Instead of giving up, she persevered and found a local production partner and transformed her events into a polished, engaging experience with live streaming, B-roll, and professional storytelling. So let's hear about lessons she learned, the challenges of navigating corporate structures, and her advice for others who might find themselves in the same boat. Dianna Singh, welcome to Office Hours.
Welcome.
Woo-hoo!
First of all, we should say we haven't seen Dianna. Actually, we saw you. You came to the last pitch day to hang out a little bit. We haven't worked with you. We haven't worked with you in a minute.
It's been a while still, though.
It's been a while. How are things out in the world?
Great.
Yeah.
It's nice not driving to an office every day.
Yeah.
Having time for my family.
Well, good for you.
To do a few things for myself.
Nice.
Well,
Very
I want
nice.
to tell you, I know I've told you this, and I probably told you this while we were working with you, but your event tends to be a case study for, 80% of our new clients that we bring on. I tell the Cvent story once a week.
I didn't know if we were naming that.
Yeah, what are they going to do?
provider.
They're going to come after me? But we tell that story a lot, and we've talked about it a lot on this podcast. And it was like, it's such an interesting thing to look back on and see where your program, and I'll call it your program, is now, as compared to like where it started. And, I am honored that we played a small part in that, but it's just like it was just a really cool thing to be a part of. And for us, it was like, that's like a once in a lifetime thing for a production company to come in at that level and then see what it's become. So it's awesome. So if I haven't ever thanked you, thank you.
You're welcome. And
That's
thank
good.
you for always being there.
Yeah.
Especially that one specific event to pick up
Well,
some
we'll get
pieces.
into that.
Yes.
But Trey, what do you think? Let's give, for people who don't know you or didn't go read your full LinkedIn bio, give us your, 60-second career arc.
Who is
Dianna
Wow.
Singh?
Was, because not anymore, right? No, so July retired after 25 years with Halliburton. Started with them fresh out of college, chemical engineer grad from LSU, and joined their supply chain program. So my first 10 years at the company was various projects in supply chain. So it's manufacturing, it was logistics, materials management, and I did projects around the globe with process optimization, system implementation. So touched a number of things, was fortunate to travel, like I said, all over the globe with the company and definitely enjoyed all of that work. And then a little bit of a serendipitous conversation with some colleagues down the hallway back in the Cube Farm world. Got involved in a former acquisition. So then I transitioned to helping acquisition integrations and did that for 10 years. So I worked roughly 30 acquisitions, integrating them into our processes, including like kind of people transitions, all of that. So a lot of change management, a lot of process mapping, a lot of understanding of people and the things that they're going to go through, not by their own choice. So did that really, and it was in that role that what then became Halliburton Labs started. So the beginnings of Halliburton Labs started in 2019 when Halliburton's CEO, Jeff Miller, was like, what does energy transition look like for Halliburton? And then the idea of supporting small startups with our large infrastructure and knowledge of deploying technologies around the globe started. So Halliburton Labs thus started 2020. What better time than in the middle of a global pandemic?
Yeah. Perfect, man.
But it ended up being a perfect timing because what we thought would be a very localized, like Houston-based program was global out of the gate. Because everybody was virtual and everybody was used to being on, conference calls and talking virtually. So we were fortunate in that like right from the get-go, our very first startup was Houston-based, but our first major cohort in January, the one that went through actually prior to the Cvent issues, we had Microsoft Teams issues with our
Oh,
very
yeah. I
first
want to talk about
event.
that. Yeah.
Um, so
Yeah, you
and
guys were
then
doing everything yourself, right? Through Teams?
internally with Halliburton structure. So, we're a global company, so we've done global webinars, recorded them, all of that stuff. So we're like, okay, let's just use Teams. We've done it for internal events. Does not work as well when people are like calling in on cell phones versus they're using laptops and networks. And anyway, it was a show. Um, it is what got a corporate that was very like anti-Zoom, like we pay Microsoft, let's stick with Microsoft, we're not
Yeah.
using Zoom. Our group got our own licenses.
Yeah.
So it was an immediate, like, because our CEO was involved in the event and he had to field some phone calls from some not happy board
Ooh.
advisors. So anyway, so from the get-go, from an event standpoint, we definitely did struggle because from a corporate, this is tying into that whole like how do you kind of not against a corporate culture, but how do you work within that? And it was truly for us because we had a connection to the CEO and he believed in what we were doing. It was very critical. So we communicated what we needed to do our job and he was supportive of that. So anyway, kicked off in 2020 and then I stayed through almost 5 years exactly. And we grew to, what was it? 38
Yeah.
companies around the globe doing clean tech, hard tech, so all something tangible as they were growing and scaling operations. And so we helped with all of those things. But part of our program to find the startups was this pitch day that we're talking about here and how we got connected. So first few were virtual, and then we went with some in-person elements, and Audion saved the day numerous times.
Yeah, I love to hear that. Well, that is a really good starting point, actually, because this is, I think, a commonality that we see across industry and across events is that people will have some internal platforms or internal systems that they're using. They'll have the licensure already laid out for that, and so they'll be able to utilize it. And they don't understand the difference between creating a true hybrid event or an actual, even if it's just a one-way push, what a live broadcast event looks like versus hosting a webinar or like a Microsoft Teams thing. So you guys had existing technology. You're like, oh, this is kind of like what we're doing already with this. So let's just deploy it here. So talk to us about what that looked like when you went that route.
Yes, Teams, even in 2020 was still very new, right? I think because it had been Skype for a hot minute and
Yeah.
then, we were all thrusted to working virtually and then Teams became a thing everybody lived and breathed by. And so December of 2020, we were looking to do this virtual event. And we're like, well, it works for meetings and we use it for internal webinars, but
Mm-hmm.
static events, people in person presenting, not bringing people in, but Microsoft says Teams can do this functionality. It's like, okay,
Right.
let's use this. We'll give people the presenter link. They can come in, like, not unlike the basic process of what we follow if we have
Right.
virtual presenters with y'all's platforms. And so kind of had the corporate folks there to support it. And as we were kind of getting kicked off, first it was folks trying to get in, either using the wrong link or something being incompatible with like cameras. And
Yeah.
because they were so used to Zoom, but we used Teams because at that time it was like one or the other. It wasn't
Yeah.
everybody use
Yeah.
everything. Um, and and then it was the whole like somebody called in on their cell phone and then didn't connect properly. And you heard this like reoccurring like voicemail. And we had to shut the whole thing down in the middle and then bring
So
it back up. So
was
that
your
was chaos.
was the corporate person helping you? Is that corporate Halliburton, or is that corporate
Corporate
Microsoft?
Halliburton. So this is, I guess, some lessons learned, right? So then corporate Halliburton IT was like, well, you didn't tell us about this event. I'm like, so like their presence was going to change anything, right? And
Right,
so,
right.
and then Microsoft's like, well, you guys didn't tell us. I was like,
Yeah,
so, okay. So that's what, I mean, post-mortem, if you will, CEO of Microsoft is in the office of the CEO of Halliburton trying to defend it. Yeah.
Oh,
It went that high at that point in time.
jeez.
Because CEO of Halliburton's getting an earful from some of our board members, and like, what's what can't even run a webinar, like, so. And then it was like, I mean, on that call, because the feedback was, this isn't a problem with Zoom. What's wrong? Da, 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 so we got almost immediate permission to go
figure out a new
outside of what had
solution.
always
Yeah,
been the corporate norm. Okay, fine, you can have Zoom. So there were very few, it was very tightly controlled who actually got Zoom at the company. Everybody else still pretty much used Teams, but we could then all of a sudden use Zoom, which was nice. Because again, everybody was Zoom or Teams, not both.
sure.
So yeah, it went all the way up on that one. So yeah, in the middle of broadcast, so it's all virtual, right? So yes, some of us were in the office trying to like do the back
Sure.
office stuff and all that. Took everything offline. Had to email everybody. Took everything
Oh my,
offline.
you stopped the
We
stopped the.
stopped in the middle because there was this feedback
Wow.
loop of somebody on the phone call, and like the
Oh,
admin
sure.
user could not shut it down. We could not figure out where it was coming from or how to shut it down. And so then shut down the broadcast, and basically had to restart, like kicked everybody out and then restarted the whole broadcast. There's no
Dang.
recording of that one. So we record all our broadcasts. There is no recording that one. So yeah, thankfully we got 3 great companies out of the deal.
Yeah,
It was
still
definitely one of those that, as we were coming out of our offices in the huddle rooms that we're all kind of around, like just tearing our hair out in the middle. But yeah, we resumed and then finished the event, and then it was a lot of like debrief, like what happened, what do we do? And so yeah, that was the very first one, December of 2020.
And wait, and Trey, had you already been doing stuff for them at this point, or no?
No, that
Like you
was
weren't shooting anything with Scott or doing
I had
anything?
done a few videos for Scott. I don't know if it was for that event, but I think that it was like, um,
But I don't think
the
you
night,
got pulled in until
He didn't, but I
21.
had heard this. I mean, I had heard about this before I even knew you guys.
because I
And
think before that event, I had talked to Scott. I was like, "Hey, do you need any help with this?" And he was like, "No, we're cool. We're totally good. Like we got this under control."
Okay.
So
And
this,
then-
just for people watching, so Trey is before Trey was full time, was freelance, and Scott Gale, rest in peace, amazing
Yeah,
dude, like
amazing guy.
unbelievable guy. Anybody that knows him knows that. Was really kind of like the figurehead for a lot of this stuff and really helped put it all together.
He was our leader, the Halliburton Labs leader.
Yeah. And Trey had been shooting some stuff for him on the side. And so I
for
had
like
heard
some
this
podcasting
story.
stuff.
Yeah, I had heard this
so
story.
I think that was outside of Halliburton Labs, that stuff.
Yeah.
Because he
it
was doing stuff with Rice and other
Yeah.
organizations, startup, all startup related for the most part at that point in time. Because everything we were doing, our website, any photographs we were doing with internal resources, which who were phenomenal. They'd been at the company a long time.
Yeah.
Then 2020, and or a lot of them just ended up leaving the company. So
So you guys debrief post-mortem. You're like, here's what didn't work. Here's what worked. You had 2 of the most high-powered CEOs in the world in the same room together, figuring out what went wrong.
Yeah.
And then what was your next move? You're like, okay, this doesn't work. We got to find a new path forward.
Yeah, exactly. And so we have been using the Cvent platform for registration for large events. We did a big annual,
which they're great at.
Corporate. Yeah, we did big annual corporate event that we always just use that platform because it's just the registration process, and then you have the reports from it, and I believe they even manage the like check-in process and all of that.
Yeah, for sure.
But it was more the logistics of that big event. It's like, well, they have this online platform because of course everybody was doing online in 2020 because you didn't exist.
Yeah.
If you were in events, if you didn't pivot. So they had an online platform. And so we're like, all right, we want to use them for the registration process anyway. So let's go ahead and give this a try. Started out seemingly on a good foot because they assigned a project manager. Like, here's all the things you need. So it was a lot more, not that we weren't organized the first time, but
Sure.
it was, I will say, a lot of deadlines. And I'm like, you want a startup to have something like 2 months before they're going to do an event? It's out of date already. So we did have to like talk to them a little bit about how we needed them to be a little bit more nimble, but still never got that much of a budge on it. So the first event we did with Cvent, it went well. Good recording, but it was 100% virtual still. And so things went well. We're like, all right. And little at the time, did I understand, we paid as much for that virtual event, I think, as we pay for you guys to do recording, B-roll, in person. It was
full
crazy
broadcast.
expensive.
Yeah.
But at the time, corporate was looking at those bills and paying them and had agreements and all that. I wasn't
Right.
necessarily like trying to manage that budget myself directly at that time.
Right.
So we're like, okay, this went pretty well. And I'm trying to remember because there was one more event before we went. Oh no, before we went to that hybrid with you guys to do the in person, because we pulled you in because they screwed up another event. And honestly, like, it's out of my brain. Trauma like erases the bad experiences or something. I don't know.
Sure.
But I think that next one was almost something similar to like what we had problems with Teams, in that, oh, I know. So we do pre-recorded part of our event.
Yeah.
Pre-recorded videos. Now I'm
That's
remembering
right.
what happened.
Yeah.
Pre-recorded videos that we play, so they're queued up, somebody in the background playing it, and then you bring the person live to do Q&A.
The Q&A, right.
We are like, okay, play video, and it starts over again, and it starts over again, and it starts over again, and we're like, what is going on, Cvent? Like, this at that point is Cvent's. And so it just kept like restarting this one pitch where we had to be like, stop, pause, like, next. So we had to come back to that person and that pitch. Just the video just like kept looping a restart somehow, some way. I don't know. So that was the second fully virtual one we did with Cvent in 21. Yeah, because that was right as I was coming out of maternity leave, like the September timeframe of 21. And yeah, that was bad.
Well, I want to be fair to like Cvent and these big companies. Like we're not that. I mean, we'll never be that. We're not that type of company. We don't provide that kind of enterprise level support. And there are a lot of things they do really, really, really well. And that's why they are top of the game for all that stuff. I think where we've always been able to kind of fill the niche is in that ability to be nimble. Like if you have these changes or things, that's a huge ship to steer. I mean, that's a massive thing. If you're like, well, I need it to do a little bit something different. Even if you're paying them these crazy sums of money to do it, they still have all this infrastructure and all these things that they can't just break through to make that happen for you. So in their defense, they do have a platform. They do have a box that you can work within that probably works fairly well. But you guys already at that point were pushing towards a hybrid model when a lot of people weren't. It was just 100% virtual. Now you're like, hey, we're going to do part of this in person. We've got some pre-recorded stuff. I've also got people that I've got to bring in remotely that my live audience has to see, that my remote audience has to see. With the like that, it starts to compound.
So that very next one would have been January of 22.
Yeah.
Where we knew they didn't have all of it. So we're like, okay, Cvent, you'll do the online broadcast, but we have this in-person event that we're going to use Audion for, because you guys had that in person, and then you were just the cameras and all, because you need people, right?
We were we were just sending them a program feed. That's it.
Right. And then you sent a program feed, and then Cvent was managing the online platform for online folks to watch. So like even with their first blip in 21, we're like, okay, that sucked. Okay, whatever. Read out the problems to us. Sure, wasn't our fault. Da da da. And then then in January of 22 was when in December my boss is like, hey, we want you to manage this event. And I was like holy soup to nuts. Before, Scott was really leading a lot of it.
Right.
And really kind of he was the MC, he was all of the things.
Yeah.
But bringing in this live event, it was, and for those who don't know, Scott was fighting cancer at the time, and so he was like really in the thick of his battle back then, and so he's like, I need to take a step back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so so I had to step in and run it. Project management is definitely my forte, so I was like, okay, let's figure this out. Who, what, when, where. At that point, Trey, you had already connected with Scott, and Scott was like, I have these people. It's like, great. Who?
Yeah.
What? And so that's where I first got to work with you guys, was because you were bringing that in person. We set up kind of that studio-ish in
Yeah, that was
the
awesome. That first one was
Ion.
cool. Yeah.
And
Yeah, we
so,
created a studio in one of their empty offices,
right.
and it was awesome. It
Yes,
was like
it was really awesome.
we brought in carpet. We had
Pipe
all
and drape
the
up on the
all the pipe and drape.
walls.
Pipe and drape. We
yeah,
had the
lighting.
whole like high top desk we rented with the stools
Mhm.
behind it. Because the feel that we were going for, our CEO specifically requested, was the game day,
Yeah.
ESPN game day feel. You have some announcers, folks asking questions, but in the back you see like some activity and some things going on.
Yeah.
And so the Ion's perfect for it. They have windows, lots of in and out and activity that they
Yeah, that
have.
was awesome.
So we went at that point in time into that office because there's still social distancing. Remember, this is early 22.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So we did have some separation between kind of production and kind of the audience, and then we fed out to the
To the big
stairs for
screen out there.
anybody
Yeah.
that is at the Ion, so that everybody that attended could still see it. So you guys had to manage the like reverberation of things playing out there and what was being recorded and the live
Yeah.
feed.
We had
So it
some
was
delay stuff. Yeah.
Yep.
yeah, it was definitely from an audio standpoint. Now that I am such an expert,
Yeah.
but I realized like it probably was a lot for you guys to try and manage and get the levels just right and everything. And then I remember production about to start, and I'm sitting there probably shaking a leg or something like that, fidgeting, and Ben's like, no room for nerves in the production room. Stop right now. So one of your like prompts was like, how did that feel? I was like, I was nervous as all get out. Never done this. Last time we had Cvent, they messed stuff up. Like, what's gonna happen this time? So I was like, okay, yes, sir.
Yeah, but it's also what I tell everybody is that like something's going to fuck up. Like it's gonna happen. Something's not gonna go the way you think it's gonna go. Something's gonna get screwed up, but we'll fix it. And that's like the thing. We're here in the room with you. We know what you need. We know what we're doing. Like we'll get it fixed. As long as you
We'll
know
never lose our calm.
No, as long as you know
No,
something's
that's
going to go wrong, you're okay. But it's
very
like
true.
the unknown is and that's the scary thing about people handing it over to this like unknown, unseen entity that's like thousands of miles away is like, what's going on? And even having that dedicated rep. So for me, the eye opener in that was, I remember being on calls in that room with them. And when we were preparing like to execute to a target, okay, give me the RTMP. Where is this going? Okay, what's the backup for that? And they're like, what are you talking about? We don't do backups. Like you're just going to go here and our servers are going to manage it and it's fine. And I was like, crazy. So no backup at all. So we deployed our servers as a backup and we had it running concurrently, and lo and behold,
middle of our show,
their servers
middle of a
went
live
down.
broadcast, their servers went down and
Their
started
servers
kicking
went
people
down.
out.
And so we were already running concurrently, and we just sent a link out to everybody viewing, and they were able to watch it. And then so that's just one of those things it's a story I tell over and over and over again, because it was so shocking to me to hear from them that they're like, no, why would we need a backup? Like our servers are fine. I was like, God, okay, that's bold.
And the great thing was you guys were recording the whole time.
Yeah,
So
of
we
course.
still had a recorded show that we could then have and post and use, after the fact.
After the fact.
Yeah. No, yeah, in the middle of that. And it was a weird failure, resulted in a refund.
Wow, not from us.
No,
Trey,
not from you
Trey,
guys.
what do you
No.
remember about that first setup and about making that room into something that was going to be like not only like visually cool for the show, but also a functional studio environment? Because there was a lot of challenges. There was a big concrete box, basically.
Yeah. I mean, Dianna and one of her colleagues at the time, Chesney, we all walked into that room, and we were like, how are we going to turn this into a studio? Because it was like you'd clap and you just heard the echo of the clap go boom, 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 boom.
It was just a huge concrete box. Yeah.
It was fun. It was a fun challenge. We got velvet.
So that was the
pipe and
second one,
drapes.
Trey.
The first one was
First one was in that
Oh,
little
the little
office
bitty
where
room.
we
Yeah.
got in trouble for moving furniture around, and that was the very first one that was one to
Oh,
the
yeah.
side.
Oh,
That was the
that was
Cvent failure, was that one.
Okay.
And
Yes.
then by that point, we're like, forget Cvent, Audion has it all, and like, let's go, guys. And then it was the big concrete box, like massive.
Okay, I forgot
room.
about so just to catch everybody up, the first one that we did with them in a live production environment was basically in like a conference room that had some glass walls behind it with fairly low ceilings. And we had to get a setup in there for a head table with, was it 5 or 6?
6 is generally what we
and
had.
then had to bring in, we had remote people coming in to answer Q&A. We had video playback. And we also
at that time, I believe Cvent was doing that piece where they were doing that piece of it. I don't think we'd done the Zoom stuff with you guys until the
I think we
time.
I think we did.
Did you do it? Okay.
Yeah, we had to
so.
take it over for our setup.
Yeah, I think because we always try to close that ecosystem as much as we can, just because we get really freaked out about losing. Now, you know, to be transparent, we will work with any platform. We can do whatever, you know, people can plug us in wherever they need. But you guys, I think were ready enough for a change and trusted us enough that we were able to take over that virtual portion too. And I think we had demoed it for you a couple of times like on site, and we showed you how it was going to work. But that was what was challenging about that is like we were in a room, in a space, and right outside that room was a huge open space with a massive LED screen and speakers and a live audience out there. So we were basically broadcasting to that outside and having to manage the delay and like and integrate with the AV that was there and the house stuff. And then we moved from that room to a larger room, but that room was a big concrete box. So we had to like build a studio. Then it went a step further and they're like, let's just move it outside. And so it like went out into this massive amphitheater and it was like, okay, now figure that out. But since then we've been to Tulane. We've done a music venue in Denver. We've done like
a terrible hotel
grown,
in Denver.
A terrible hotel in Denver. But we've like done all these really cool venues and been able to just kind of package up what we've built and just kind of redeploy it and use it all over the place. So it's been
continue
a cool journey.
in my opinion, continued elevation of the event.
Yeah.
I mean, the big kind of leap we made was when you finally convinced me, Ben, to go after the powers that be to have to get money for a desk.
Oh, yeah.
So we went to the vendor that does the game day sets and builds those desks, and we have a desk that packs down and moves around, and never seen the CEO of Halliburton so excited.
He was so excited.
Oh, it's a kid in a candy store. It's so funny.
But this is an important point to make too, because people hear this and they're like, "Oh, Halliburton, yeah, of course they've got the money to do this." But like what we do is what we do for anybody.
Can I educate your audience?
Yeah,
please do.
Halliburton is a service company. We do work that is very expensive for oil and gas producers. We do the work before any oil and gas is produced, so we don't get any of that money.
Yeah.
Our stuff is expensive is because it's high technology. We use fiber optics downhole, and what we have to solve for, I've told people, is like an old school computer, like Commodore, put it in an oven at 1,000 degrees and throwing it over a cliff and it needing to work all the way down and still work once it gets to the bottom.
Yeah.
So it's very high-tech stuff Halliburton does, but we don't actually own any of the oil and gas. We don't make that money. Our customers do. So we don't.
I know, but people hear the name, you know,
money. Let me
when
just
you're when you're talking about, you know, a member organization that's got 2,000 members and has a staff of 3 people.
I mean, when you're talking about like, yes, associations and such.
But I mean, to your point, it's like this is not. It wasn't a bonkers budget. This is the same budget that we do lots of things on. It was just much higher stakes, a lot more eyes on it.
Higher profile people sitting on the stage.
A lot higher profile. And it was super cool. So Trey, the production on this is pretty awesome. So this was, I think we had started with a 3 camera. I think we're doing 4 camera now because we're doing a wireless, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, we always had that 4th camera. it was always to show the crowd, because
Yeah.
that
Hero
was really
shots.
important to Jeff the whole time, was making sure that people got like the feeling of like, oh, we're doing
This
this
is a live event. Yeah.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So we've always had that roaming camera to do wide shots, and then
Yeah.
to kind of do
A hero shot.
yeah, and occasionally we would use it, or we might have had a fifth camera to do sort of like when Scott was doing audience interviews
Man on the street.
or
Yeah.
man on the street stuff, and we would do those live. And we've shifted to basically doing those pre-recorded, or kind of
From the
like using
stage
a
now.
camera
Yeah.
at the stage. Yeah.
Well, we don't. I mean, Scott was such a force and so easy to just impromptu say whatever needed to be said with talk.
Also, let me just say, a force is like an understatement, because from the production stage, you'd be like, "Hey guys, I'm just gonna go interview this person right now." We're like, "Dude, hold on, like let me get a
Welcome
gotta
to
get
what was my world.
Yeah, I was like, let's get this set up so we can shoot this. Well, I'm just gonna go up there and I just bring a camera. It's like, dude, it's okay, like we got you.
He's like, it'll work. Just trust me. Like,
Oh
okay.
man, this is just like, that was the stuff. That was the only stuff that made me nervous, is like not knowing where he was going to pop up and what we were going to do next. Everything else was like, it's locked down. We have control. But it's been a really successful run. The events look unbelievable. I mean, we'll have some links to some of the stuff in the podcast so that people can watch what the broadcast looks like, the final broadcast.
It's all on our website. Like, we continually, and like some of that is some other parts of it, post broadcast, as quickly as possible. We want full broadcast up on our
Yeah.
website. So for folks that didn't make it live, they can still see it. It's a lot of publicity for the startups that present. Usually our keynote is really good thought leadership, good conversation. So that's segmented out and posted. So that post production is hugely helpful.
And you guys were always really good about identifying the additional value in having photography on site and having B-roll shot on site, because you can just get so much content out of that day. And it was awesome to always be able to put that stuff together at the end.
All right. So I got a question for you, Dianna. How did elevating your production, creating this broadcast, and being able to show people this, how did it help you on the rest of your job? Because I know that's one of the questions I always have for people, is like, how do you use video? Like, what's the strategy behind this content?
Yeah. So, and I kind of alluded to it a minute ago, but a lot of it was trying to bring visibility and help startups with their publicity. So, the Halliburton name did bring a bit of an audience, but frankly, in the clean tech startup space, we were definitely not first ones folks thought about. But because of how we help startups, our name recognition definitely was starting to improve in the kind of investor community, the early clean tech investor community. And so more people were like, oh, cool event, and it's free, and they do all these other things. Like, because we had that corporate kind of budget, we could give cool swag out. We could have kind of happy hours. Our events included in lunch and, drinks and whatever. There was, some stuff we could do around it because we had the corporate budget, in addition to, the broadcast like quality that we had. And so it helps them with then they had kind of pictures and video and great Q&A recorded that they could help improve themselves, or really just getting their name and face in front of investors that they would never have had an audience with otherwise. And then what it did for those, the reputation of our program was like how important it was for Halliburton. Our CEO was at all of our events.
Yeah.
And so that visibility was hugely impactful. And because it was such a well done event, of course, our CEO is going to want to be there because he just loved the events. He didn't have to do anything. He showed up and, asked questions.
Yeah.
So because of the quality, and then also we were able to draw hundreds, whether virtual or in person, it really just helped with the reputation of our program. And then startups liked it because it was so well run. That's what every startup has ever said. It was like, that is such a well run event.
Yeah.
And it's all of us on this phone call plus others that made that happen, and that's just hugely impactful for folks like startups, because they have no money. They, sometimes they're just a few people working on an idea, and anything that any little bit they can get is helpful. And I think investors liked it because they saw like some different companies, they saw maybe different trends that they weren't aware of and got exposed to some new ideas. Anytime that somebody can help an investor with scouting, they love it too.
So I want to tie this in because this is our whole philosophy that we've been talking about a lot lately, as like the Audion ethos is like the arc of these companies or of these, associations. It's that authority, reputation, and credibility, and all those kind of go to build the story of your company or what it's doing. So your reputation had already preceded itself. It's Halliburton. People know that that this Halliburton machine is behind this, so that they can get all these tools and all this help and access to it. But the credibility that this lends, because it's what you're doing right now. It's like, look at what they're putting on the ground. Look at this pitch day they're putting on, helps to bolster that credibility, which ultimately ties back into the authority in this space. So now Halliburton, who's been known the world over for decades and decades as oil and gas, is now in this clean tech space. And you're doing these really amazing events that are pushing that forward. And we got to be a part of that, which is, I thought, pretty amazing.
And continue to be a part of it.
And continue to be a part of, yeah.
While I have retired, it still goes on. The show goes on.
Yeah.
So.
I was so freaking scared when you retired too, by the way. I was like, just because we built this with you. I mean, you were you and Scott, and with the two of you kind of out of the picture, it was uncertain for us, like if they would want to continue in this direction or what it was going to look like. So it was a little nerve-wracking there for a little bit as the transition, but fortunately we've been able to stay on and continue to be a part of it. So.
Well, and I think we've created something that it'd be super difficult to make any better. And the fact that you guys do travel with us, because it was important at some, eventually once the world kind of opened back up, to take it on the road.
Yeah.
To go where our audience and where the startups are, so investors, and so we first one on the road was to Denver, right? Yeah, that was the first one. And the fact that you're there, you go on the scouting trip to make sure that we're taking into account all the things that we need from our production quality, but also giving great ideas on how to improve the look and feel of the event, signage.
Yeah.
How to kind of make a generic space ours. All of those ideas come with that pre-planning, and then just you guys now at this point, I mean, it almost is like rinse and repeat, just make sure Brandon knows the names of the people on the, lower thirds properly. Brandon and Wild.
Brandon.
So it's just new content, but the program itself is pretty much the same. Because if it's working, why?
That, and it's like, I mean, we preach this too, is that, we don't, it's rare that we bid like one-off jobs. Most of our clients, all of our clients are long-term clients that we do this for, that we travel with, or we go. And it's because when you show up on site and you see the same crew that you've worked with every time, and the same, okay, this is fine. It's not a bunch of new people that you, as a event planner or as the person in charge of this event, have to train somebody up on again and hope that it goes as well as it did before. So it's that for us is a huge thing. And man, it feels great when the CEO of Halliburton recognizes you and he's like, "Hey, how's it going, man?" You're like, "What's up? It's good to see you too, man."
Yeah.
It's just fun. It's fun to watch people have fun, because it's fun. Also, we should say that, like, it is we have a really good time on set. We have a really good time at the event. It's super stressful. It's super high stakes. There's a lot on the line, but it is a whole lot of fun. It's a really fun event.
Well, and a lot of it is also y'all's calmness. And I say y'all, it's all of you. Brandon with his 5 headphones on, even like looks like a crazy man, but like it's y'all too. Like it's almost scary sometimes when Ben like gets quiet and starts kind of staring at his team's back of their heads, and I'm like, what is going on right now? Like, there's something wrong, but he's not letting me show. So I'm just gonna like walk out of the room and let y'all handle it. No, that like, because usually it's just calm, and if there is something wrong, I never know about it. Sometimes there's quick switching of audio cords and whatever, like morning of, and you're just like, what's going on? Like,
now, if you're freaking out, we're not. If you're freaking out, we're not doing our job. We don't want anybody to ever see the stuff that's happening. We never want to stop a show, and we never want to have to, start over, or, it's just you figure it out along the way. But so, Dianna, most of our clients and a lot of the people that are watching this are, it's a lot of event planners. It's a lot of people that are doing a lot of content creation. It's a lot of people that are going to different sites all the time. They're in a different hotel, for every one of their events. They're doing these contracts way in advance. What are some of the things that, when you're scouting a location, when you're looking for a venue to produce a hybrid event, that you've kind of learned to look out for now, or the things that you could tell them to, like, hey, make sure that you're kind of paying attention to these details?
So I personally, just my personality, and we wanted to have a different kind of an event. Always wanted to find a place where we could get some natural light.
Mm.
Um, just everybody's tied to the like being able to see the sun shining or not, whatever the weather might be, is to me, it makes for a more relaxed, better event. Um, that then can greatly limit your options
Yeah.
versus kind of hotel ballrooms. Um, Hotels, and Ben, I know you've worked with a lot of them, and we as a corporate, we have a lot of events and hotels and such too. They can be a pain to work with if they don't give you carte blanche to having a contact when you need it, where you need it,
Yeah.
no matter what
Mhm.
time, right? Because we're sometimes setting up depending on timing, and if there's something in the room before, if you don't get the room till, noon, like, we might be doing sound checks at 7, 8 o'clock, and then, wait, we need to adjust something about the stage or this, and if the
Hmm.
hotel person has to do it, oh, they're not gonna be here until, like, 7 a.m. Well, our event's at 8, like, I don't have time for that.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of where hotels can be difficult to work with if they have restrictions on how you can and can't move things around.
Yeah.
That's just the physical piece, 'cause generally, you guys come fully geared up. Like, I'm never worried about cameras, lights, anything, 'cause you guys have all that. But if it's something about the
Yeah.
stage,
Banquets. You need
if
banquets to
you're
do. Yeah.
whatever it is, if you know the technical terms, whoever they are, but the hotel staff have to be there to help you move anything or touch, you can't do blah, blah, blah because somebody
Yeah.
has to, like, that
Mhm.
kinda stuff makes it super difficult to do the short turnaround type stuff that we have, because our event is, what, 4 hours?
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
takes,
Half day.
6 or more to set up, and then, usually we're torn down and gone in in an hour,
In an
but,
hour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We get
um
out quick.
so, like, that's one of the things that is definitely critical. The other is ease of access. That terrible hotel in Denver. It was a maze. Like, people that we kind of told where to go and had, supposedly were from there and knew, got lost. And so that's the other thing, is how easy the access is. Because for our events, we could have a couple hundred people in person. Where are
Mm.
they parking? How can they find it?
Yeah.
All of those things, for us, the audience, making it as easy as possible for them.
So the lesson is having an event in the basement of a hotel that you have to walk across and underneath the street is maybe not the most ideal location.
Yeah, but to be fair, that was like part of a larger
It
startup week
was. We were
thing.
kind
Like,
of
Yeah.
there was stuff
there
happening
was
everywhere.
extenuating circumstances and other
Yeah.
things that made it supposedly worth it to be there, and it was fine. But at 8 o'clock at night, I'm like, "I hate this lighting, let's fix it," right? And y'all are adjusting lights, we're turning on and off ballroom lights, like, what looks better
Yeah,
or
look,
not,
that broadcast, go back and watch it.
and
It
It
looks
looks great.
awesome. You wouldn't
yeah.
know that you were in a basement of a hotel. Like, the broadcast looked amazing.
Right, and at the end, like, you get a great product.
Yeah.
It's just about being flexible and being in a space that allows you to be flexible to get that
Yeah.
great product.
Yeah.
I mean, the music venue was torturous with the lawyers beforehand, but, like, it's a music venue, of course you're
That
gonna
was so
like,
fun though.
it was really cool to be able to have
Wait,
that
what
in that
was the
space.
story with the lawyers?
Well, it
That was
was
a Live Nation venue. I think it's
I
just
wasn't
they're
gonna
hard
say
to
it.
I mean, who gives a shit? Who watches this thing anyway?
Well, because
I'm just kidding.
we are not a live event recorded, like, we're not an artist, we're not a TV like, so we
Yeah.
don't look at clauses that they had in this agreement, and they refused to take them out. And so it was just we had to get a temporary, like, 12-month specific, insurance policy for these people. So,
Okay.
um
Just
And we
legalese
were
and-
literally there for the event and signing on the
Yeah, I remember that being real. Everybody was real kind of, there was a lot of anxiety around that one.
Yeah.
But that one again was super cool. Like we had a really cool backstage. We built like our video village backstage, had all of our front of house stuff backstage. It was cool. I remember Jeff walking in and he was super stoked on that because like
Yeah.
the venue just looked cool and
yeah, it was real fun.
it was real fun.
I'm always in the front. I always miss all the drama. I'm
Trey stage manages usually, so yeah.
And
just
Video
saying-
Village is usually where I'm at, right? Like,
Yeah,
I mean,
usually with us. Yeah.
there's a lot of shots to call and a lot of kind of lower thirding and stuff. So I'm there supporting the team, but it's a lot of fun. I enjoy it. People actually don't realize most of the time who I am until they join to start Halliburton. I'm like, oh, I was there. I made your production show,
Yeah.
but I know you don't know who I am.
I
Yeah.
made sure your name was right. That Brandon didn't screw it up.
What,
Yeah, but I was
so,
never
okay,
lower thirded. I was never on camera.
like I saw you've recently started a new position, right? Or are you doing something new?
It's really just doing similar things that I was doing for Halliburton Labs startups, but kind of on my own terms and my own time.
Oh, that's cool.
So kind of advisory work and part-time consulting.
Okay.
So that's really what it is so like I'm working with one of the Halliburton Labs participant companies and just helping them with stuff. So it's a similar work because I really like everything that I've always done in my career has been about kind of improving the process for folks.
Mhm.
A lot about that kind of that going through the change and understanding what's ahead of you. And so some of that, but also with my experience the last 5 years working with corporates and VCs, like when you're going to go pitch, what do you want? What do they need to see? Okay, now
Yeah.
you're pivoting to a new solution or a new service line. What are the things you need to think about? How do you change the story about how you talk about what you're doing? So um, some of it is, I'm trying to stay. We've got some cool startups doing some great things, making some, big milestones this year that I'm just staying in touch with a lot of them and letting them know I'm here cheering them on too. It's cool stuff that's happening.
Well,
with
look, if
Halliburton
any
Labs
of them
portfolio.
need promotional videos,
Don't
you know,
worry.
something-
Don't
But
worry.
also-
it's phone call.
What when are we going to create like a like an event that you're running, you're in charge of? And
I think she's out of the event planner game, dude.
Unless you're
gonna
gonna start doing it for the elementary schools and the
Yeah,
ISD.
I think
but,
she's out of that game
Man,
now.
we got to figure out a way to do something with you again. That's all I'm saying.
I would love nothing more than to work with you guys again. It really was the highlight of that event. Annoying to chase startups for their 7-minute
Sure.
pitch video and like, okay, be here so a lot of that logistics. I mean, it was just part of making sure it happened, but always looked forward to working with you guys. It was always fun to be with you guys in Video Village and, just make some cool stuff happen.
It was cool.
But, okay, I have one more question. Some of the startups, so in these pitch videos, sometimes the people would basically just record themselves and it'd be like a Zoom recording with a PowerPoint. And sometimes it would be like a pretty high production value video. Did that have any effect on the advisory board, like when they're selecting people? Or do they just kind of see right through production value?
So because of how we were evaluating, it was investability. So is this actually an idea or a solution that's going to make some money? And not because there's carbon taxes or
Yeah.
other things. Like, is this something that somebody's going to actually pay money for?
Yeah.
And usually that somebody is an industrial, not consumer. Most of our stuff was, straight to, B2B type. So that is really about the idea and then the market. So that investability of it. And then second was the team. Is the team going to be coachable? Are they open to advice? A lot of entrepreneurs think that they know the answers to everything. And those
Yeah.
kinds of folks are not going to, be great. And then it was about what they do and the kind of help Halliburton can bring and how closely matched those are or not. That's why we didn't have any software companies in our portfolio, because the software, there's so many other accelerators that help with software. Halliburton is not
sure.
top
Yeah,
of
we
that.
do a bunch of
Whereas
military
you
stuff
got
with
the
that.
solution, you want to put it on a skid so it can be modular. We got that. We do
Yeah.
that all the time.
Yeah.
So because we were really getting into the details, and we have a lot of business people and engineers, they'll see through it. A pretty video does not really answer the question of what the problem is you're solving or the market you're trying to solve. So if they happen to have a pretty video and answered the questions well, had a good solution and good for the market, that was great. But in our space, because we really are getting to the nitty gritty, it didn't impact it necessarily.
Yeah, but I would assume that if a well-produced video showcased and explained their technology well, they had well-spoken scripting on camera to where that they were like, able to get
I'm
across
not
the
saying
points.
well-produced videos they don't hurt.
No. I think that was a valid question that he asked, and I think you answered it in the right way. But I think like of course you're going to see through bullshit, right? Like if it's just a bullshit glam video and you're like, well, that's trash. But I could see someone getting a slight leg up by utilizing video to just maybe explain a little bit better what they're doing or showcase their people a little bit better. Yeah, tell that story a little bit better.
Well, and I will say
yes,
if I can, well-produced videos help is with Halliburton Labs. You get in, okay, because you're usually early days. You don't have a thing to showcase. But once you have that thing to showcase, going after that first big customer, that commercial, that next round, that is when it really can be impactful. Because if you're just still showing a PowerPoint of a schematic or a drawing,
right? So you
they're like, do you actually have anything? What am I investing in? Whereas if you have like GoPro, like drone type footage of this thing being installed or working, and that is where production will really make an impact to startups. And what I have seen is like, once you actually have the thing, you need to capitalize on that.
Show it.
Yeah. And when you're doing your install, I don't care. Like even if it's an iPhone, I know y'all hate me for this one. Pay the money if you have it. But even if it's an iPhone shooting the install process, or go get a GoPro and set it on like the side of the building and watch, and then you can speed up the kind of install. And like, there's so many things that you can do to show when you actually have something tangible that you're doing. That is when production is very.
I love it. That's good. It's great advice.
Well, and the other thing I was going to say is I think that your answer is very like impactful in that where you need to spend your money in production is in making sure that you have a good script, like you have a good idea to showcase. So like if someone was going to hire you as like a advisor and they're like, what kind of video should we produce? You would be like, let's really focus on like, what's your story? How are you answering these questions?
Yeah.
And that's so valuable. That's what, I feel like a lot of times people forget that. They'll be like, oh, let's just go shoot some video. Yeah. Let's go do this. And they don't spend the pre-production.
You try to build the story later. Yeah. And that's tough. That shows.
Well, because you need your story to even know what videos to shoot.
Boom. Yeah. That's right.
That's right. That's the clip. There you go. Just cut that out. We don't even have to do this whole podcast. Look, we've gone way over time here, but it's awesome to catch up with you and awesome to talk to you. And I can't reiterate like how valuable this relationship has been for us, just because it was such an awesome project to like see from where it started through where it is now, and just to be a piece of that and the continuation of it. And I think they've got some good people in place now to take you guys forward too. So I'm super excited about what it looks like down the road.
Well,
we're going to Boston.
The start of our relationship, if I could kind of shout out to Scott, his thing was, we just want to work with some cool people to get some good stuff done.
Yeah.
And you guys definitely made the cut.
Yeah.
For all of the things. And thanks, Trey, for being persistent with Scott, I guess, maybe. That you guys definitely made my job easier at the end of the day. And made us look good doing it.
So here, this is for all you single shooters out there or production companies. You don't have to be proficient or have any technical acumen. Just be cool, and it's fine. You'll get in there.
No, I did caveat that of like, it made us look good too.
Kidding, I'm totally kidding. But it helps. Don't be a jerk, man.
Well, not, and I say cool, like nice, good people.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
We're about the work, and we're about making sure that your job is
well, I think the expectation, right, is like you are going to deliver excellence, like in your position, like no matter what job you're in, delivering excellence is the bare minimum.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to do it.
You should also be like a good person and easy to work with and a collaborator and bring ideas to the table.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, people are like, cool. So that's the real lesson.
I love it, man. Well, good. This is fun. This is awesome. I'm glad we finally got to talk to you about some of this stuff and get you on here to kind of go back over it. And I hope that whatever you do next is super successful. And, you know, you can always call us for anything.
Yep. Appreciate it. Good chat, guys.
All right.
Miss y'all.
Oh,
We miss you too.
See you later.
All right.
All right.
Bye, guys.
Peace. Bye.